everyone, welcome to my review of Transformers Prime Robots in Disguise, not that one, Deluxe class Ratchet, based on his appearance from Transformers Prime. And yeah, this figure is actually really good. I will say that right now before we get into it. I'm a big fan of the way that this figure works, even though people did actually back in the day talk down upon, you know, the new figures of Transformers Prime, because the first edition were peak perfection. But I don't really care because of the fact that, look at the Ratchet right here, very nice looking. The medical doctor, and for crying out loud, one just like always when I think about Ratchet, I am thinking back to that one episode of Transformers Prime where basically Ratchet was the doctor, and he basically turned, he basically took that like drug-infused energon and basically started beating up everyone until he eventually got beaten up by Megatron. But like, he tried to be cool, he even winked towards RC. God, that episode was so funny. Just a big fan of Ratchet himself. So let's take a closer look here, starting off with this nice head sculpt, very accurate to his appearance in Transformers Prime. Bulkhead, I needed that indeed. I can already hear the words coming out of this guy's mouth. But it's a very nice head sculpt. And on the chest here you got the doors, which are actually, you know, kind of here, but that's because they don't really work here on his chest for like an actual transformation, unless maybe Masterpiece would like to do something with Transformers Prime. But then also you got the nice red here on the shoulders as well. You got the big arms right here, which can actually do something fun. Well, the hands mainly can do something fun that I'll talk about later. Then after that you also have some silver right there on his belly. And then down here you got more details. And then over here you got the technically the front grille of the ambulance mode. And then here you got the big kibble slap right there on the legs, which are basically just for the sides. But I don't really care, doesn't really hamper my enjoyment of this figure, but overall he's a very cool figure. And here's the back, basically just the ambulance back on his back. But overall I am a big fan of this figure, even though yes, he does sadly enough come with some limitations because of the fact that he was actually made back in the day, and back in the day articulation was not the main focus. So now let's move you out of the way so that we can take a look at your weapons. Ironheart fell down, I almost lost the other weapon. Anyway, here we go, we got the blades that he used in the show right here. Very nice looking blades right there. Big fan of the way that these blades look. And he actually used these blades a couple of times in order to cut up some Decepticons, well, mainly Viacons, but still he used that. Very nice. And in order to attach this, obviously you can just plug it into his hand like so. However, what you can also do with the hand is actually you can push the hand back a little bit like so, and then push the I think this is the one that we're supposed to need, actually, the one that sticks out to the side a little bit more. Anyway, you can just plug this in here, take this hand and rotate it down, and then plug this in here. I do hate the fact that it's soft plastic, which makes it a little bit annoying to attach, but anyway, now it looks like it's coming out of his arm instead. Look at the way that this looks. This actually looks really cool, and I love the fact that this figure can actually do that, you know, where it just comes out of his arm instead of actually being held like a melee weapon. It actually comes out of his arm. I love the fact that they tried to make that work, and it did. They actually did make that work. Big fan of the way that this whole thing works. I love the way that this attaches. So let's get these out of here so we can get to the next thing, that being articulation. And for transformation he can actually do something really cool. So starting off, his head can actually rotate left and right. He can't really do much looking around because, you know, everything kind of gets blocked, and also he has the springiness for the transformation purposes. Then the arms can rotate all the way around, in and out. You have a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow, so which means he can go very high with the elbow, and obviously the hand can go down and up. No wrist rotation, but because of transformation what you can actually get is a backwards butterfly, so he can actually do a pose like that. That is very nice. The fact that sadly enough no front, but still butterfly joint kind of on this figure. That is actually pretty cool. Then he also has a waist rotation, which actually works for once. A lot of these figures don't necessarily have waist that work. And then afterwards you got a forward that doesn't really go very forward because of the sculpting. Backwards, that actually goes pretty good. In and out, a thigh rotation that just pops off the ball joint because the thigh rotation, the mushroom peg back here, is actually very strong. But he has that rotation as well. A knee bend that doesn't really go that far because of the whole sculpting, the way that everything here is sculpted, sadly enough. And then also the feet can technically move down. That's really all you can do because you gotta collapse this stuff for vehicular form. So you get some cool articulation and some not necessarily cool articulation. You know, you get some stuff that just gets hampered because of the sculpt and also because of the fact that this guy is, well, a figure of days of old. Let's just say that, okay? Fold this back around his back. But anyway, because the fact this idiot comes from the days of old, which was not the time for articulation being mainly present, he sadly enough does lack some stuff. Anyway, with that being said, let's move then straight into stats comparison. And starting off, you know what? I'm gonna actually do this guy into 3 parts. Someone accidentally fell. Anyway, we're gonna do this in 3 parts because starting off here, we got him next to Ironhide. Stop falling! But here we got Ratchet next to Ironhide, looking pretty cool. Like I said in the Ironhide review, if that goes up before, before this one, Ironhide should have had some some heels. He definitely should have. But anyway, here they are together, and since in Generation 1 they were repaints of each other, slight redo. I thought I'd mention right now that, you know, I just put these 2 idiots together because they seem to be together for a lot of things. Because I think even in anime that there was like repainting going on for the 2. But anyway, here they are together, and man, do I wish that these 2 were together on screen. But anyway, overall, they look cool together. So then, let's bring in the main cast of the Autobots Season 1. So here we got the whole Season 1 cast of Transformers Prime together right there. Ratchet together with Optimus Prime, Bulkhead, Bumblebee, and RC looking very nice alongside all of them. Big fan of the way that these guys look together. So then let's bring in the stragglers of the Autobots. The Autobots that appeared not really part of the main cast. So then here we have Ratchet next to the other Autobots that appeared in Transformers Prime. Cliffjumper, Wheeljack, Ultra Magnus, and Smokescreen. Looking really good alongside them as well. I don't know if the scale is perfect, but yeah. Back in the day, scale wasn't really the main thing, so I'm not really gonna complain about that. Anyway, let's get these guys out of here. Pull you in closer, and let's get into that transformation. So let's get Ratchet transformed into his ambulance mode. So what you want to start off with, so we'll start with the arms. Untap this piece here, rotate it up. Untap this piece here, rotate it up. Take the hand and rotate it all the way in. There you go. Now when we're done with that, we can go down to the legs in order to fold up the feet, like so. Take this piece here and rotate it up. And double hinge it up as well in order to get it, you know, further away from the feet. This will give us some room in order to be able to rotate the foot around. So rotate the foot around from the outside in, obviously. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna come back up here. You're gonna push in the head and untap this back section here and rotate it all the way up and over the head in order to make sure that this whole thing is straight. Make sure that the head, push it down until it clicks into place, but leave it like that. Afterwards, what you want to do with the arm is you want to fold it up, but also rotate the arm in so that this whole thing can fit into this gap here. You basically want the arm to go in there to line up there. So just rotate this in, rotate this up and around, and then just push this in as well. Make sure this whole thing slots into place like so, and then rotate the wheel, the side here, rotate it so that it aligns with the vehicle mode. Also rotate this. There are actually 2 tabs here that are going to slide into the piece here, but let me just push it down. You want to make sure that the tabs on the back section here, in there you can see the tab, go under this. Otherwise you're going to have some problems. Then you want to basically align this fully and push this up. So just push this in down there and then push this whole piece up like so. After that, what you want to do with these is you want to basically align them, and then you want to get these clear tabs under here. So just align this whole thing. Make sure that this little bump here goes under there as well. That is where it's supposed to sit. So rotate it down so that it sits like that. Afterwards, you can tap the legs together like so. Make sure that everything sits right, and then fold in the feet like so, and then bam, here we have Ratchet in his ambulance mode. So here we have Ratchet in his ambulance mode, and it is a weird looking ambulance, I will say that, but not a bad one, to be honest. I do get some kind of flashbacks in a way to like GTA, because of the fact that in those games I did steal ambulances from time to time in order to get around, because, well, sometimes vehicles were not really scattered all over the place, and you just had to pick up an ambulance because vehicles wouldn't spawn. And also sometimes you died and were spawned at the hospital, so then the ambulance is right there. Why not just take it, right? Especially in San Andreas, when you can just go back to Grove Street and then, you know, get Sweet Scar. But anyway, here we have him in his vehicle mode. And he looks really cool in his vehicle mode. I will say that right now. I'm a big fan of the way that he looks in his vehicle mode. I love all the Prime designs. I personally have no complaints of Transformers Prime. I mean, I have small complaints, but nothing really major. But anyway, let's take a look here at the front. You got the nice silver grille here at the front. Then with the lights that are not painted at all. Then afterwards here at the top you got this here. Also there's a gap here, which yes, I will say the gap annoys me. There's no real way to fix it because of the way that this thing transforms, but it annoys me that there is a gap right there in the middle. But anyway, you got this like engine block or whatever you want to call that thing. Then on the side here you got nothing but whiteness and also some squeaky wheels, which are pinned, by the way. You love to see it. I love the fact that some of these Prime figures have pinned wheels. But anyway, I love the whiteness here, and then also some of the red stripes here. Even though the red stripes, they do look a little bit weird and not necessarily aligning with each other, but whatever. Then here you got the back with a bunch of little details here pointed out, but none of it painted at all. And then here you are at the top, and I don't really understand this gappy. I mean, for the figure I understand it obviously, but like I don't think the Ratchet had that in the actual show. And then this is what he looks like from the bottom right there, and that is Ratchet's vehicle mode. So then, let's take a look at weapon storage. Now there are two ways to store weapons. Well, technically three, I guess. I mean, you can actually just put them in here, like that. But there are two main ways to store the weapons. Starting off, obviously, you have in the front here, two holes right there. So you want to just take this and just jam it into the hole, which is a little bit annoying because the thing is made out of soft plastic, which will make it a little bit more difficult to jam it into things. But technically, you can actually just store it in there, even though this one doesn't want to really sit right. But you can actually store it like this for some kind of an attack mode. Or if you want to, and the way that I always store it is under here. Yeah, as you can see, there's two pegs right there. And then in here on the side, you got a hole. So basically what you want to do is you want to take this and just plug it in like so. And by golly, it's gone. No more weapons at all. And I love the fact when they did this back in the day where you could just store the weapons under the vehicle modes because of gaps and all that stuff. I love the fact that they did that back in the day. Big fan of the fact that they did that. But let's get that out of here because I'll probably forget about it, and during reverse transformation I'm gonna be in a little bit of a pickle. But overall, it is a nice looking vehicle mode and rolls very nicely because of the pinned wheels. So then, let's go straight into SAS comparison. Starting off here, we got him obviously next to Ironhide, and my goodness, look at these two together. Different entirely, but they look very different from each other, but they still fit so well together. I love it. I really wish this Ironhide was in the show, but sadly enough, alas, he was not in the show. R.I.P. the boy, even though technically he wasn't even dead. I mean, I think actually he might have been dead in Transformers RID 2015, which I have difficulties calling canon to Transformers Prime, because if I'm being honest here, Transformers Prime had a pretty satisfying ending. I will say that right now. And RID was not necessarily needed as a sequel series, and it's not really the best either, sadly enough. So let's get Ironhide out of here and bring in the squad of Season 1. So here we got the squad from Transformers Prime Season 1 right here, all together. You'll love to see them all together. I do anyway. I am a big fan of all these guys together. Look at how cool they all look together. Having this completed set just makes me happy, and now I love completing sets like that. So let's get these guys out of here and talk about the stragglers. So then here we have Ratchet next to the rest of the Autobots from Transformers Prime who have appeared in, well, less than a full season, I guess, because, well, actually, Smokescreen appeared in the full of Season 3, so that one's a little bit, less than 2 seasons, there you go. That's the one who have appeared in less than 2 seasons as main cast members, or were never main cast members at all, because Wheeljack, Ultra Magnus, and Smokescreen became main cast members during Season 3, and Cliffjumper was never a main cast member. But there you go, here they all are together. Stop the rambling and just talk about the toys, for crying out loud. But they all look very nice together. Happy to have them all together. So let's get them out of here. And here we have him next to Kit from Knight Rider. You love to see it. I don't remember. I might have almost forgotten about Kit from Knight Rider. But I don't care. Here we have that size comparison. So now let's get you out of here. Pull you in closer. Let's get into that reverse transformation. So let's get Ratchet back into his robot modes. What you want to start off with, as I like to do, fold out the feet like this. Then afterwards, what you want to do is you want to come back here and push this up in order to untap this whole section here. This is how I always do it. Then get these clear tabs next to the vehicle mode so that they don't slot themselves back in like the annoyances that they sometimes are. Split the front here. Rotate the feet around, fold both feet together, and then rotate around, okay? Don't go back into robotic mode position. Then what you want to do is you want to rotate this over. You want to basically take this piece here and rotate it over. And then on the side here, there is a hole that the tab, let's see here. This tab down here, let me just see here. This tab here slots straight into. So you want to get that in there, then also fully extend the feet. Do the same thing on the other side, so slide this down, tab it in, and then also fully extend the feet. And there you go, pair of legs is pair done, boys. There you go, for the paramedic. Anyway, then afterwards what you want to do is you want to basically take the arms and undo them from in here, undo them from in here. And then with the shoulders, you want to rotate this whole thing forward like so. Then rotate this down, rotate out the hand, close this bad boy back up, rotate the arms down. So get this a little bit downer. Rotate out the hand, collapse this in, and rotate this down fully. And then we get to it, boys. Here we go, here we go, here we go. You want to push this back, and then bam, here's his head right there. And then here we go with a little bit of automorphing. Here is Ratchet back in his robotic move. So then, final thoughts on Ratchet. What do I think about him? Well, I like him. I do. I think overall it's a great figure. I've had a lot of fun with this guy. There you go. Figured out a way to say that with words. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this guy over the years, and overall the fact that this can be looking like this is absolutely fantastic. Now, I personally don't have really any problems with this guy at all. I also love the auto gimmick for the head, the way that it just pops out, which by the way, the head can now not be clicked into place because there is a switch in here that has been activated. So in order to click the head into place, you have to do this, and then you can click the head into place. And then once you get this back, oh wait. Here we go. So basically, the switch happens once you pass this check mark right here. So right here, everything is good. And then you... There you go. That's where the switch is. I almost forgot where the switch was. But anyway, so there you go. But anyway, overall, like I said, I have had a lot of fun with this guy. And overall, I think it's a great figure. So would I recommend him for the deluxe class price point? Absolutely. I think he's a fun figure. But that has been my review of Transformers Prime Robots in Disguise Deluxe Class Ratchet. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on that bell and comment your thoughts on this figure. And please check out my Let's Play channel, linked in the description and at the end of the video. I upload 3 videos every day of different games, but mainly Pokemon. And I'll see you guys in the next review. Bye!